So let's talk about rent crisis in Nigeria, the pains of tenants, and see if there is a possible way out. It doesn't matter if the economy is bad, landlords will still increase your rent anyway, and they don't care. They don't want to hear any story. But the big question is this: why? Why are Nigerian tenants bleeding? Why is it that every year rent increases faster than our salaries? Now, who exactly will save us? Today, we are going to break it all down here. No textbook talk, just raw realities. But before we do that, let me beg you, please subscribe so that I can grow this channel. Thank you. So, let's start from the very beginning. Looking at the numbers, in Lagos alone, rent has gone up by over 80% in the last 5 years. So, if you were paying 500k before, your landlord is probably asking you for 900k now. Yeah. In Abuja, okay, some estates increased rent by over 100% in 1 year. Can you imagine that? Imagine waking up one morning and your landlord tells you, Oga, we have adjusted your rent from 800k to 1.6 million naira. Just like that. Yes, just like that. Now, in major cities like Port Harcourt, Kano, and Ibadan, rent prices have also skyrocketed. Even in smaller towns, landlords are catching the fever. And the worst part, many of these houses are not even worth the price at all. Perhaps we should talk a bit about the Shylock landlords. Many landlords in Nigeria are not landlords by profession. Some of them became landlords by inheritance. Their fathers died and they inherited the properties. Inheritance is not a problem, okay, but hinging all their hopes on their father's legacy by bleeding tenants and even their future tenants is the problem. And damn this. Some landlords are regular people who built 1 or 2 houses and suddenly became overnight CEOs of Landlord Enterprises Limited. Their main business is rent collection and frustration management. Now they have one mission: collect more money from tenants while doing the barest minimum. They don't fix anything, they don't improve anything, but they will increase rent every year. And if you dare complain, hey, you know the answer. They tell you, if you cannot pay, pack out. Now, some of them will even wait until your rent is about to expire before hitting you with a surprise increment. No notice, no discussion, just Oga, rent don't go up. And they know you don't have the time to look for a new place, so you are forced to pay. That is emotional blackmail, the way I see it. Even if you have the time to look for a new place, you find yourself in the hands of yet another set of extortionists. Yes, the house agents, many of whom are actually more vicious than landlords. Now, the bulk of them are actually jobless boys who get wind of vacant apartments in their neighborhoods and they turn themselves to agents overnight. And what is their job, if you ask me? They get a chalkboard and they list all possible vacant apartments in that neighborhood and they put their phone numbers there and place the board in front of somebody else's shop. So they hang around for you to call or to come there. And this is it. Before they take you to an apartment, you pay a non-refundable inspection fee. And most of the apartments that they will take you to are not where you could ever imagine living in your life. They know this, okay? They are not fools. Yet they collect your money to take you there. 5k, 10k or more per apartment, depending on where you want to live. And before you could even get one that at least you can manage to live in, you might have spent a whole month's salary. Ask those who have actually experienced this. They will tell you how frustrating this can actually be. And just when you think, okay, now I have found one, let me pay, they now hit you with a plethora of crazy add-ons. The actual rent is 800k, right? But then you will pay agency fee, you will pay agreement fee, you will pay caution fee, and so many other destiny-threatening fees. At the end of the day, total amount payable is 1.7 million naira. Hey, when the rent is actually 800k. Plus, you'll be required to pay for 2 years. And it is why many people live in shanties. They can't afford a decent accommodation. It is also sadly why many young girls end up cohabiting with men they are sure will never marry them. And do you know what the parents? They pay with their bodies. That's sad. If you think it's only residential tenants that are bleeding, no, business owners are also crying. Imagine you have a small shop on the mainland and then you've been paying 300k per year. Then one day like that, your landlord shows up and says, Madam, your rent is now 700k. No reason, no justification, just vibes and greed. And that is why businesses are now closing down. That is why people are selling, things by the roadside instead of renting shops. Who can rent shop in Lagos in particular? And how can businesses grow when rent is eating all their profits? Now let's address the real question. Why is rent increasing like this? The first reason is housing demand versus supply. Okay, Nigeria has a housing deficit of about 28 million units. It means more people need homes, but fewer houses are available. And your landlord knows this, so it takes advantage of you. The second reason is inflation. Everything is expensive, from cement to roofing sheets, and landlords will tell you even pure water price has increased, so rent must also increase. And of course, there is also the no rent control. Unlike in other countries where the government regulates rent prices, in Nigeria, landlords can wake up and charge whatever they like. And the fourth reason is the dollarization of real estate in Nigeria. Some landlords in high-brow areas now charge in dollars. Hey! Even if you earn in naira, they will tell you it is $5,000 per year. Take it or leave it. Now let's talk solutions, because if we keep waiting for the government to help us, we might as well start sleeping under bridges, God forbid, okay? Now, how do we survive this particular onslaught? Actually, I'll be very sincere with you. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. What works for someone may not work for the other person. What works somewhere might not work elsewhere. But at least let's attempt to provide solutions as follows. Number one, co-tenancy and joint renting. If the rent is too high, look for people you can trust, your friends or family members, and co-rent a bigger apartment. It can actually reduce cost and you get better value for money. That is the first thing. Then the second thing you can do is negotiate like your life depends on it. Don't just accept rent increase blindly. Negotiate. Some landlords increase rent just to test the waters, and if you fall for it, they just hammer on you. Now, if you have been a good tenant, remind them. Tell them, Oga, I don't owe rent and I maintain the house. Please be considerate. It might just work. It might. I didn't say it will work. Then the third thing you can do is you should consider emerging areas. Many times, rent is cheaper in developing areas. If the cost of staying in the city is killing you, please consider moving to a nearby town with good transport links. Somebody is earning 50K for gossip on a monthly basis, and then I ask you, what are you doing in Lagos city center? How do you intend to cope? Or you're earning 100K and you want to live in Wuse Zone 2 in Abuja. How now? How do you do it? Then the fourth thing you can do is rent-to-own options. Some real estate companies offer rent-to-own schemes where part of your rent goes into buying the house, and it is worth exploring. The fifth thing you can explore, well, which may not really work all the time, is government and legal action for those who have energy, or if you have the energy. And if you have a serious rent issue, the Lagos tenancy law protects tenants, okay? Now, some states also have rent tribunals. It is not always effective, but at least know your rights, okay? At the end of the day, the rent issues in Nigeria is not going away soon. The only thing that will change is the number of tenants that are crying every year. That's sad. So we need to be very smart. We need to start, planning for home ownership, no matter how small. Because the truth is, if you don't want to be at the mercy of landlords forever, then you need to start working on your own house. Even if it takes 10 years, it is better than paying rent for the rest of your life. But for now, my fellow tenants, I don't want to say my co-tenants, my fellow tenants, let's hold hands and say a prayer, because this suffering is too much, okay? If you found this video helpful, please share with your fellow tenants. And if you are a landlord watching this, please fear God. Fear God, though. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.